In Louisville, they own the last two college basketball national championships, and they face off tomorrow night in the Sweet 16. It's one of the most heated rivalries in the country, and no one has ever written a book about it until now. Local 12's Brad Underwood spoke with a local author who did just that.
It's arguably the most anticipated Sweet 16 matchup of the tournament. Cross-state rivals Louisville and Kentucky are preparing for their 47th overall meeting. The schools are only separated by 80 miles, but for decades rarely played each other. Many say it's because Kentucky didn't need to. They were a powerhouse. Then, in 1983, the two met in the NCAA tournament.
It was such a good game, and everybody loved it so much, and it was so crazy that the state government got involved, and it was like, y'all need to play. Immediately after that, we had the start of the contemporary rivalry, and that's what we have today.
What we have today, Ryan Clark calls the greatest rivalry in college hoops.
On an average year, Kentucky and Louisville play once a season. If we're lucky enough, then they'll play twice. But they play once a year. Duke, Carolina can play 3 times a year.
Since 1983, there have only been 3 seasons where UK and Louisville didn't play each other. Clark co-authored the book Fightin' Words with his friend Joe Cox. Clark says there are so many storylines that prove this rivalry to be the best. Layers of emotion unmatched by other rivalries.
What we have now, we have a coach who coached one side and is now on the other side. And you don't see that in something like Duke. You don't see Coach K coaching the Tar Heels. That doesn't happen. I think now, especially when they met up in the Final Four, that was it. That was the moment for us where we decided we got to do this.
But they couldn't get it published. Sure, everyone knows about UK. 8 national titles and a perennial contender for the national championship. But Louisville's success apparently wasn't as widely known, even though they won 2 titles in the 1980s.
I always say as a Kentucky fan, it killed me to watch Louisville win the national title, but it allowed us to do the book, so there we go.
Clark is a lifelong UK fan, but says the book isn't a biased fan book, but more of a history book documenting most of the games played since 1983. There are box scores and photos, plus interviews with former players and coaches.
In 1983, they had a game that lived up to the hype. In 2012, we had a game that lived up to the hype. It was a really good game. I hope we have that Friday night.
A game that Clark says fans on both sides are ready for. Brad Underwood, Local 12 News.
The authors will be in Indianapolis before tomorrow night's game, marketing the book. In April, the pair will hold a discussion about the book in Crestview Hills.